Good morning, everyone. Today is August 26, 2021, and I'm going to be going over the parent orientation for Wilkerson School. First, I'd just like to say welcome back to school. I hope all your students are excited for this new school year, and we're going to be going over Aspire policies and procedures, programs, and staff today. This is our program staff as of today. So my name is Angel Conde. I'm the site coordinator, and here's my contact information, including the office number for the Aspire office. We do share the Aspire office with a class, so just in case you hear a little bit of noise, that's why. We have our kinder class in room 36, so that's Miss Lisa and Miss Jenny. Our first and second, as I mentioned, is with Miss Erica in the Aspire office. Our third and fourth is Miss Tuleka and Miss Anissa, they're in room 11. And then fifth and sixth is with Mr. Ryan in room 27. So Learn is a nonprofit organization. We've been operating in El Monte since 2004. We're an after-school program that offers academic assistance, recreation, enrichment to students in K through 8th. And we're funded through two grants here at Wilkerson, the ACES grant and then the 21st Century grant. And the grants basically guide our program decisions and our program policies. So the components that we have in Aspire is academic assistance. This is where we help students with their homework. We have a supper that follows the district nutrition guidelines. Recreation, so that's kind of like recess outside, but it's a little bit more structured. We have enrichment, which is 1 hour where we teach our students about various topics is where we're teaching them. And then we have kids play, which is our sports program. So academic assistance, as I mentioned, students have about an hour to complete their homework. Any homework not completed must be completed at home, and if no homework is assigned, students will complete supplemental academic activity, which is basically like skill building. So after they're done with their homework, they generally don't be on their phones or things of that nature. It's important to note that Aspire is not a homework completion club. We have students of various academic abilities, so if a student for whatever reason can't finish their homework or just chooses not to, the youth leaders will be communicating that with you. Hey, today so-and-so didn't finish their math homework because they were talking, or so-and-so was on task, but they didn't get to finish their English homework. And that way you as parents know that your student still has some homework to finish at home. So we have our supper. Students are given a 20 to 25 minutes supper break daily. Supper is provided by the district, and it follows the district guidelines, as I mentioned. All food provided by the district cannot be taken out of the cafeteria. We're not doing a share table this year because of COVID. And then if you do send your student to school with a snack or a supper, just please try to make sure that it's healthy in nature. Try avoiding bringing chips, candy, fast food, or anything like that. Just because here at Learn we do try to encourage health and nutrition within all of our students. Any food brought from home cannot be shared amongst other students for safety reasons. We just don't know if they have allergies or are sensitive to any sort of foods. So as I mentioned, recreation is our physical activity component. This is where we try to create a safe learning environment where they can participate in activities that will enrich their education and personal development. So you can think of like recreation as recess, but it's just a bit more structured. So instead of us giving the students a bunch of random assortment of balls and saying, hey, go play, we do an activity together where we try and build upon skills. Students are required to participate unless there's a reasonable or medical excuse. And if there is a medical excuse, then please provide a doctor's note. If your student recently injured their arm or they sprained their ankle, etc., we're not going to force them to play. Enrichment is our educational-based component of our program, and it's STEM, health and nutrition, visual and performing arts, things of that nature. Monthly calendars of day-to-day activities can be distributed at the beginning of the month. Personally, I try to send them through Parent Square just because, just to save paper. But if you would like a hard copy of what we're doing in Aspire, then just please let me know and I'd be happy to provide that for you. So Kids Play is our sports program. This is offered to 3rd through 8th grade, and our sports this year are going to be flag football, cross country, and Olympic handball. Previously, we've offered basketball and volleyball, but just because of COVID this year, we're only going to offer these 3 sports. Students compete against other schools in a recreational sport, the ones I listed above, and Aspire will provide bus transportation to and from designated locations, and there are no fees for Kids Play participants. Pretty much everything that we offer in Aspire is completely free. The jerseys, any sort of like field trips, things like that. One thing to note about Kids Play is that all attendance policies still apply, even if a student is attending a Kids Play program. So just because you go, well, if you're allowed to go, like visit and watch the games, that doesn't mean that your students are allowed to leave early. Just because again, our attendance guidelines are very strict. So rules and expectations. So pretty much the same school rules apply during Aspire programming hours, and these can vary a little bit school to school. So all the Wilkerson regular day school rules apply during Aspire. So no electronic/cell phone should be used. If you need to contact your student, you can call the office. You can call me. Fighting, inappropriate language, abuse is not tolerated. An ongoing disruptive or disrespectful behavior may lead to removal from the program based on the severity of the situation. I try to be very communicative with you all, so if we're starting to head towards dismissal, then I would let you know. And we would usually do what's called a behavior contract before we get there. But that's for ongoing disruptive or disrespectful behavior. If, for example, a student, I don't know, maybe pushed the youth leader or punched the youth leader, something like that, it's a little bit more severe, then we might not get a chance to have that conversation. So attendance policies, again, I know last year due to COVID, parents were just allowed to pick up their students whenever they wanted, but that unfortunately will no longer be possible. The state has implemented all their attendance policies back into place, so we are going to be following these very strictly. Students are required to attend every day until 6 p.m. So our dismissal is 5:50 to 6 p.m. So that's your normal dismissal window. Anything before that, it's going to require a early release form, and that needs to be for a valid reason. So here's a couple examples of valid reasons: if they get injured, if they have other sports programs, other tutoring programs, things of that nature. And these forms would be provided for you on that day for you to fill out. Um, at least here at Wilkerson, we're only going to be doing one early release block, which is at 4:45. So if you need to leave early, you can leave anytime before 4 p.m. or 4:45. Otherwise, you need to stay here until 5:50. So I understand that emergencies happen. So of course, if someone goes to the hospital or something of that nature, we're not going to keep your kids in the program for that day. Like if you need to take them out, but you should be communicating that to me as soon as that happens. You shouldn't just be showing up to site at 5:20, 5:30, whatever it is, and saying I have an emergency. I need to pick up my students. This just makes it easier on the program because we are very low on staff this year, and it just creates a burden to have to constantly be picking up kids, bringing them to the gate, walking back and forth, especially like when we don't have staff. I am a student, so there's going to be many times where I'm incapable of doing that. And again, as I mentioned, we're very low on staff, so there's not really anybody else to do that. So that's why we're doing the one early release window of 4:45 p.m. or before 4 p.m. But again, we'll do our best. Let's work together. Let's communicate. If you have emergencies, just let me know as soon as you know, and that way we can go ahead and help you out as much as we can. Reasons not listed are considered unexcused early releases and may affect your child's enrollment and status in the program. So if you get out of work early one day, it's 3 o'clock, and you come pick them up, that's not an excuse early release. Other examples are like inclement weather. Just because it's raining doesn't mean that that's an acceptable reason for the students to leave early. And those are just two examples. So late pickup. So at 6:06, pickup is considered late, and that's another attendance violation. But if you are running late, then just please contact your coordinator, which is me, Angel. That way we know that somebody's coming for that student. And the reason why I ask for that is because if a student is not picked up 30 minutes after programming ends, then we must call the local police office to pick up the student. But even if it's 6:20, for example, we'll stay with that student, or let's say it's 6:40, let's say if it's even 7 o'clock, we'll stay with that student as long as we receive that phone call. So if you call me at 6:05 and you say, you know what, Angel, I'm going to be really late. I'm coming from San Diego, whatever it is. I'll be there at 7. We won't call the sheriff's office because we know that somebody's coming for that student. So just please, again, be communicative with me and let me know your situation and what's going on. So attendance policy violations: after 3 unexcused absences, 3 unexcused early releases, or 3 late pickups, or any combination of the 3, students will be removed from the Aspire program and placed on the wait list, and you'll be given a 3-day notice. So please note that this is different from previous years, because in previous years it was 3 of one category: 3 absences, 3 early releases, or 3 late pickups that were unexcused. But now it could be any combination of the three. So you could have like one absence, one early release, one late pickup, and that would be considered grounds for removal of your student of the program. And again, it's case by case, so it depends, but normally on that third, just because of our guidelines, we do need to remove the student and place them on the wait list. So communication, as I've talked about a little bit, communication is very important. Me with you, me with the teachers, the youth leaders with the teachers, etc. So just making sure that you're communicating any concerns or needs with your youth leader, with myself. That way we can work together for the best interest of the kids. And as I mentioned, the youth leaders do communicate with the teachers. I'm trying to figure out a way that it's possible for our staff to have like daily check-ins with the teachers. I feel like that would be beneficial. But just because we have combo classes, it's a little bit difficult because, for example, Mr. Ryan would need to go to 4 different classes. But regardless, we're gonna have our youth leaders at least have a monthly meeting with the teachers to discuss like student behavior, things of that nature. And we do our best to align like our curriculum with Common Core state standards. Okay, let's talk about signouts. So every student must have a registration form in order to be a part of the Aspire program. So this is usually why when you turn in the registration forms, we call you just to make sure that you're interested, just so we have verbal confirmation and the registration form. K through 5th must be picked up by an adult, someone who is 18 years or older. If you have someone like an older brother, things like that, and they're 17, they're still in high school. Unfortunately, we cannot allow our students to go home with them just because they are not an adult. They are still a minor. 6th through 8th may sign themselves out, but only if you have authorized them to do so on the registration form. Usually in those cases, we'll just confirm with you one more time that the student is allowed to sign themselves out. And even then, they're only allowed to sign themselves out at the normal dismissal times. So it's not as if the student can just sign themselves out at 3 p.m., 4 p.m., whatever, and then just go home whenever they want. No child will be released to anyone under the influence of anything, drugs, alcohol, things like that. And if there's any special circumstances, then just please see me for assistance so I can do my best to help you all out. This is kind of how we're trying to structure our early releases just due to COVID. Our 3rd through 6th grade will release at this gate in front of the cafeteria, and then our kinder through 2nd will release in the main office gate. So we'll have a bit of space between both, again, just so that we don't have overcrowding, so you can have more space for social distancing, and to make it a little bit easier to sign all the students out. Um, Unfortunately, if you have students that are in both, so let's say you have like a kindergartner and a 6th grader, unfortunately you have to go to both gates, but I'm hoping that, as everyone gets used to the process, it goes nice and smooth, and then by the time you're done signing out one student, you have a very short wait to sign the other out. Just being very effective, being very efficient, and let's all work together to make that happen. Another thing regarding signouts is that we are only having one early release window, so that's at 4:45 p.m. If you come at, let's say, 4:20, 5 o'clock, 5:15, anything like that, unfortunately, as I mentioned, we will not be able to release your students at those times. We are very understaffed, and we just do not have the staffing or the manpower to go ahead and make those accommodations, I should say. Um, Again, emergencies happens. I understand. As soon as you know, let me know. If it's early in the morning and you realize that you have an emergency that you need to go to at 4:10 or something like that, just let me know. But you should not just be showing up. Another reason for that is because on our early release forms that we sign, we have a time that we list. So if you put 4:45, but you show up at 4:10, if we get audited, the question will be, well, why is this parent going home 30 minutes early when the form says that they will be going home at 4:45? In that case, then we are not following our attendance guidelines. So let's talk about injuries. So any student that suffers any sort of injury will do an incident report. And the special circumstance is a head injury. So the head injury is a little bit special because we're not doctors, we're not medical professionals. So although 99 times out of 100 the student's fine, we just can't take that risk and say that they're fine. So we need to get them cleared by a medical professional and make sure that they're cleared of concussions or anything else that's serious. So if a student does happen to be hit on the head, then you'll be provided with a head injury protocol form as well as a handout that outlines concussion systems. And then again, they need to be cleared by a physician before they're allowed to do any sort of physical activity with us. We are also an anti-bullying zone. So bullying is defined as unwanted aggressive behavior that involves a real or perceived power imbalance. The behavior is repeated or has the potential to be repeated over time. So bullying could include making threats, spreading rumors, attacking someone, things of that nature. A good rule of thumb is that whenever there's school, there's Aspire, and the only exceptions are these three dates. So September 20th, January 24th, and then April 14th. These are the only days that there's regular school, but there's not Aspire. Other than that, as long as the school is open, your students went to school, we'll be here. And it doesn't matter what time they get out. I know that there's professional development days where they get out really early. We'll be here. As I mentioned before, I am a student, so this is a schedule of my classes. So some of them are in the middle of the day, so unfortunately, I won't be available to answer calls or things of that nature during these times. So you can just kind of write this down in case you're wondering, like, why I'm not answering on a certain day. More than likely, it's because I'm at school or maybe I'm on lunch. So if I don't answer your calls, then just please text me. My Google Voice number does allow text messages, or you can leave a voicemail. You can email me. There's plenty of methods to communicate with me, and I will get back to you by the end of the day, if not for sure early the next day when you've contacted me. This is sort of a schedule of when I'm working. So because of my school, I have to modify my schedule a little bit, and I'm in a little bit earlier. So I should be available to answer correspondences as early as, like, let's say 7:30, or today's Thursday at 6:45. So once again, our mission is to encourage a culture of learning by securing and providing resources to students and families in areas of need. That's our mission. We really try and make sure that our students have fun in Inspire, that they feel welcome, that they feel safe. So we really try and work with everybody in order to ensure that that's happening. And once again, thank you all, and hope you have a great year.